Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of this UnBee-lievable Life. I am so excited to have Jake Browning Hester with Browning Funeral Home on with me today. The funeral home was started by his grandfather in 1954, so long-time history in our community. Jake went to Evansville Central High School and then the University of Southern Indiana, where he majored in business management. He then went on to earn his mortuary science degree from Vincennes University. I asked Jake to come onto the podcast. We're going to probably be doing a couple of these because we had my family did such a wonderful experience with Browning Funeral Home earlier in the year with the passing of Bob's father. I am a first time planner. This is the first time this has ever happened to me that I was in the adult role that I had to assist my husband and my mother-in-law with the planning of my father-in-law's funeral. And I can't even say that it was overwhelming because it went so seamless with Browning that I thought it was very important to open this conversation so that other people that, if they're ever in my shoes, are prepared because you don't know what you don't know. And Browning Funeral Home made it such a seamless process that I wanted to have the opportunity to educate people a little bit more on the process. So today, Jake is going to basically tell us how the process works and then make himself available for any questions if anybody has any after the podcast. So Jake, take it away.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, Nikki. It was first off, it was an honor to serve your family. Bob, was a ref when I was playing football at Central. And he coached my little league baseball team. So, to help you guys and Bob and his family out was already just a super big honor to have, and it was a pleasure. But so process as far as, you know, if you've never experienced a death and you're having to plan this funeral for the first time, when your loved one passes away, whether it be a hospital or at home, wherever it might be, that facility or that, if there's a hospice nurse there at the house, or if it's unfortunately a coroner there at the house, they're going to call the funeral home. And then we will come and take your loved one into our care. We'll bring them back to the funeral home, no matter what time of day. It could be middle of the day and you guys are there, or it could be the middle of the night and you left the hospital, and we come and take your loved one back to the funeral home. So say it's the middle of the night. We'll typically call the family first thing in the morning, come 8 o'clock, and talk, offer our condolences, and then go into getting them into the funeral home to coordinate what they want to do for their loved one. Some people have prearranged their funerals. Excuse me. So that helps their family that they've left behind, gives their family an idea of what they wanted. So really, those families just have to put an obituary together that we can publish to get the word out and set up the times and dates that they want to do their services. Your guys's instance, which is, what a majority of people are, they don't have anything prearranged because, I mean, that's not, most people don't want to come prearrange their funeral. It's not the most, fun thing to think about. So for you guys in your instance, you didn't have anything planned, which is fine. That's what we're here for. Um, so we had you guys come to the funeral home, sat down, and just start from scratch, kind of feel you out and ask you questions on what you want to do for Bob's dad. Um, and then that leads us as a funeral home, that gives us a better understanding on how we need to proceed and what we need to do on our side. Um, so like Bob's dad was cremated. So, um, we signed all the necessary paperwork in our conference that day, uh, so we could cremate Bob's dad. Then, we put together an obituary. That's kind of our first step. We gather information from you, put to put together the obituary, proof that with you, make sure it's how you like it. Set the days and times you want to do things, and then, like I said, sign any documentation. And that was the gist of our arrangements conference that day. Those can vary depending on what kind of services you want. You know, some families are really, you guys super detail oriented, which I like. I am that way myself. Um, Other families, just want to plain and simple. So either way is fine. But us as a funeral staff try to do the best we can to kind of meet your needs and gel with you guys.
And the
So
Oh, I was
go
just
ahead.
going to
No,
interject. Like the one thing that I was so appreciative of was you guys being the liaisons with the military contact. I've never planned anything like that. So I just, I wanted to share how we just passed the name and contact information. And you guys just took care of it. And it was, again, so seamless.
yeah, yeah, thanks. That's what our main goal and objective is to do everything we can for you guys because you're grieving, you probably haven't had much sleep leading up to a lot of deaths. People are sick, you're caregivers, so you're just exhausted. And we try and take care of as much as we can for you. So yeah, we coordinated the military honors to be there, and that was nice. So we had our conference that day, and then I can't remember how many days between the conference and it was for the funeral, but um, in that break, in that period where you're not at the funeral home, we're getting everything ready for you guys. So when you showed up that day, everything was seamless, how you liked it, kind of decorated the room nice, and yeah.
Well, and that was so wonderful. So let's kind of just talk about the concept of pre-arranging these funerals and how that would work. Honestly, like having gone through this, it's really encouraged me to start writing down ideas for my family because you just never know. Life is short. You
Yeah,
get hit by a car the next day, even though you're in the pinnacle of health. And to
right,
me, I now see pre-arranging a funeral, it really is a gesture of love for someone's family. How does
yeah.
that work if someone is interested in pre-arranging their funeral?
So you would just call us here at the funeral home and set up an appointment. We have Michelle Gerhart is our director of pre-planning. So a lot of times you'd sit with her, and she will. It's almost like what we went through that day, where we had to start from scratch, get all the info, pick out urns and whatnot, or caskets, whatever the situation may be. So you're going to sit there with her, and it may be a couple hours that you're sitting there, but you're going to get all the family history written down, and you're going to get information. We're going to get information from you on what you liked and what you wanted to do. I mean, someone like you could even write your own obituary, as morbid as that might sound, and that way it can just be exactly how you want it.
Well, and
Um,
to that end, like honestly, like that's actually something I've considered sitting down and doing and actually encouraging my friends to do as well. Because as we sat around that table, like there were some questions that came up, who's the sister of whoever and what's her last name now? And that's family history that I would know and an individual would know that they're potentially their spouse or their children wouldn't know. And I honestly don't think the concept of writing your own obituary is morbid at all. It actually makes sure you cover all the facts and
right,
include all the family that you would ever want included so that nobody would feel left out. That was my biggest fear while we were sitting there writing that obituary was that we would leave somebody out accidentally and, not intentionally, but that, it's possible. And if somebody is sitting in a grieving situation, who knows what might get left out that would be a key to someone's life that needed mentioning.
right. And more and more with the younger generations, like my generation, and you and Bob are pretty young too. Like, I don't know. I feel like the younger people are, the less inclined they are to know their great grandma's maiden name.
Yep.
Yeah, personally, I don't know if I could name them all. So it's good to come in and get everything down on paper. Um, you're like you said, I mean, it is kind of a sign of love
Mhm.
because when you pass, it's all taken care of. And when we meet with families that their loved one did have a prearrangement, those survivors are very appreciative. I
Yeah,
mean,
I could imagine.
they notice that. Um, and I mean, not just that, but financially, on the financial side of it, um, I think the funeral industry is probably one of the only industries that offers something like this. When you come in and prearrange your funeral, and you don't have to fund it in advance, but most people do because, like, if you came in today and funded your funeral, um, you would get today's
Right.
2024 prices. No matter if it's 2024, if you pass away in 2064, we honor these 2024 prices. So financially, it's a good idea too. Um,
Yeah.
because if you don't do it, then your family's, stuck with the financial burden too. And a lot of people aren't. I mean, it's expensive. So a lot of people aren't in that financial place a lot of the times, right at the drop of a hat to pay for a funeral.
So let's really quick talk about, a topic that branches off to. So my husband's a State Farm agent and he's in the insurance industry. Most people or do a lot of people use their life insurance policy then to fund their funeral?
Yes, yes, that, aside from prearranged funerals, that's probably the next biggest
Way to
uh,
pay for it.
way to pay for it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, would be life insurance policies. So yeah, those come in handy for people.
Okay. Well, for today, that was pretty much all I wanted to touch on. We've got a few other interesting topics to touch base on later, but is there anything else you want to add for today?
I mean, I can't think of anything. I appreciate you having me on. This is my first podcast setting I've done, so I
Well,
hope I wasn't too
if
awkward.
if people want to get a hold of you for questions or to prearrange a funeral or just to talk through any of it, how do they reach, where are you located at and how do they reach your funeral home?
Yeah. We're located at 738 East Diamond Avenue, just across Diamond Avenue from the old North High School. Um, and if you want to get in touch with us, my name's Jake Browning Hester. My middle name's Browning because my mother was a Browning. Um, so you can ask for me, or we've got, 7 or so funeral directors on staff. So anyway, just call. Our number is 812-425-2896. Or you can email me if you have any questions. My email is jake@browningfuneral.com. And yeah, you can just reach out if you have questions and we can go from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jake, for coming on the podcast today. And thank you to all of our listeners. We look forward to having you on the next episode of This Unbelievable Life.